Welcome to Tekedia Daily. I'm Ndubuisi, Ekekwe. Our conversation today will focus on Donald Trump, his customer experience capability, as well as why every company actually needs someone like him. The world is still trying to recover from Donald Trump's decision to essentially take United States of America in the Paris Climate Agreement that is structured to become a vehicle to ensure that we can mitigate and fix the challenges of global warming. As American president, his position in the world is so huge. And when America fails to lead, in so many cases, the world remains in stasis. But we have to understand that he's a politician, and is as a politician, the voters are his customers. And if the business of politics is essentially like that of a company, you want to win big, you want to succeed, it means that he has to do what he thinks he has to do in order to remain the politician he is, because he wants to win big. Around the globe, in a contemporary political scene, Donald Trump is one of the finest in terms of understanding the process of customer segmentation. You know, during the US election, whatever anything you can say, no one comes close during the presidential election. He knew what he wanted. He knew the people he wanted. He knew what he needed to do in order to get them. That instinct, that capability for him to have segmented the US voters and effectively develop a strategy to help him get to the people he needed to get in order to win. You can't take it away from him. That is a mark of being a genius in politics. He knew what the needs of these voters were. He understands what he needed to do to get them. So I believe vividly that even as companies, executives of businesses, it's very critical that people have to get to understand the mind of Donald Trump, because there are so many things that we can learn from him. I know everyone will be criticizing him. Everyone will, it's basically that he's not conforming to the rituals of what we know to be a great leader. Those are things that are written in management books, leadership books. They are great. But I tell you something. If you are not asking yourself questions about the success of Donald Trump, the political arena of America, you are not necessarily even challenging yourself on what leadership is all about. I think by understanding Donald Trump, you can get better in whatever you're doing, especially as an executive of a company. Because what he is doing is this total commitment to his base, basically his clients and his customers. He never wavers. They like him for that dedication. And this is a fanatical relationship that I do believe that every company would like to have with its customers. You want customers that are always there for you, even when you have the usual challenges, cybersecurity breach, product recall. You want them to still believe that this problem is going to go away. You don't want them to disappear. You don't want to just abandon you because of this challenge. Donald has shown us that building that kind of fanatical relationship with clients and voters can actually be done. And you have to do that not necessarily conforming to what everyone does. Hillary Clinton had all the check marks for what we can take to be the sign or the capabilities or the features of modern leadership capability, modern leadership. But when it mattered most, she was well beaten in the electoral college. So the man that beat her, defeated her, is Donald Trump. You may not like him, but there are a lot of things you need to learn from him. In the world of the needs and the expectation and the perception of customers, I tell you something that in the political scene in the world today, no one comes close because do not understand the needs of the base who are his customers. He delivers that. But he does not stop at just meeting the needs of this customer. He goes beyond to actually making sure that he handles the expectation of these customers. I'll give you an example just to explain the difference. Somebody has electricity in his house, and that electricity provided through coal, daily coal. You have met the needs of that customer. But it turns out that that particular individual is an environmental activist who may not necessarily like you to provide electricity through coal in his house. You are a utility company. A company that wants to meet the expectation of that customer will likely go for solar. And by the time you provide that solar power, use providing that electricity through solar, you are meeting the expectation of that customer that you have met the needs, but you have gone beyond the needs to provide the expectation that the electricity in that house has to be powered by alternative energy or green energy. But there are then customers that are within the domain of leaders that are within the domain of perception. And this is where I put Donald Trump. Let's take, for instance, what happened during the time that iPhone was unveiled. Very few companies actually understood exactly what was happening. Actually, they say that Verizon even rejected a deal with Apple. But these are products that you don't have a very cool understanding of them until the day you see them. And the day the customers see them, they say, this is what we've been looking for. This is what we've been waiting for. So there are people that have this ability, like Steve Jobs, to build products and services that no one had actually asked for. But the day you see those services or those products, you essentially like them because they are just good. Donald was like that in the Republican base of the American electorate. You know, they never believe in their lifetime that they could actually have somebody that could tap into their perceptions. All the check marks, they have waited for somebody to check for them in their generation. Hey, take out Planned Parenthood, take out the wars on coal, as they call it, take out climate change theories, take out all the restrictions on voter suppression. Just keep checking them, keep checking them, keep checking them. The EPA, Environmental Protection Agency, and net neutrality, and all those issues they actually wanted to be dealt with. So all of a sudden, somebody came into the political arena and started saying crazy things in the ears of every other person, except in the ears of these specific customers, the base of the electorate, who are actually feeling that this man was not just coming as a Republican, meeting their needs, or coming as an expectation, or a better Republican, but actually having the capability to tap into their perception. Oh, this is what we have been waiting, but we've never seen a product like this. All of a sudden, this is the deal. And Donald Trump made that possible. During the election, one of his competitors this week will try to get a traction. The next morning, he will say something so crazy that all the oxygen will be sucked out of that particular candidate. In short, the candidate will appear in a press release the next morning, and all he has to answer was basically everything about Donald Trump. He will not even have an opportunity to make a case about himself. Donald has tapped into the perception of the customers. And everyone that is not one of those customers segmented cannot understand him. So you have to be within that fold for you to make sense of what he's doing. His non-consensus strategy demands study. And I do believe vividly that every company has to make effort to understand the mind of Donald. You need a leader with the instincts and the fanatical commitment to the needs of the customers, the expectation of the customer, the perception of the customers. You need a leader that understands them and works, and we certainly do everything to satisfy them. By exiting the climate agreement, Paris Climate Agreement, he had demonstrated without any hesitation that he will do everything necessary to make sure that his customers, his base are happy. You need a leader that can segment customers to win big, figuring out exactly what and the specific segment of the customer he needed to address. And that has to be big enough that can deliver win. You need someone like Donald Trump, executive management. This is the Tekedia Daily. I'm Ndubuisi.